Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Mindset, Heartset, Reset. My name is Jacqueline Way, and I am one of the hosts of the show today, along with my esteemed sister, Dr. Roshanak Hashimun, who you will meet in just a minute. We're so excited to have you all today. Welcome from wherever you're coming in from, whether it's the Humanities Stream, Facebook, YouTube. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you here today. You know, we are covering off my favorite topic this month, and certainly in this show, and it's all about love. So welcome to Mindset, Heartset, Reset. This show is a live, dynamic show that we really like to provoke introspection. We cultivate compassion and spark positive change, both within ourselves and the world around us. All of our insightful discussions will give you practical tools based on authentic stories, and it's going to nurture and empower your own mindset. It's going to open your heart and the connections to all around you. We're going to give you the courage to hit that reset button on your own life. We have a very simple mission. We're on a mission to expand love at a global scale with a vision to shift humanity's future into one which we can all thrive. So without further ado, and I want to get started, and I know you're all still coming in, but I don't want to miss a minute with our guests today. I'm so excited. So first, Dr. Roshanak, where are you? Come on up, my sister. I'm so excited to be sharing the stage with you today. I'm going to introduce my co-host. She is a credentialed computational, clinical, and behavioral neuroscientist. Yeah, I get to stand here with her. Amazing. Her work has supported and transformed countless lives. She's the founder of Access to the Path. She combines the power and the process of science with emotional and spiritual intelligence. She's a rock star and just does it all. And she literally finds the innovative strategies that help people and businesses become more purposeful, because that's what we all want to do, more purposeful, if I could get that word out of my mouth today, effective and prosperous. Dr. Roshanak, my sister, welcome to the stage today. I'm so happy to be with you, and I'm so excited for you to introduce the show today and our guest.
Thank you so much. I am super excited to be here myself, I must admit. Welcome, everybody, to Mindset, Heartset, Reset. We are super excited yet again to bring you an amazing episode. Today, we are continuing our series, Understanding Love, and our episode is entitled Your Journey to Love. What a show. Okay, so all our shows are amazing, let's be honest. This show is, no, really, I'm honest. Jacqueline knows I'm honest. I call a spade a spade.
I love that.
It's true. But what has me so excited about today's show is our guest SIMRAN, who is going to, you'll feel the energy. We today are going to continue to talk about love and ask the question, what is love? But we're changing our focus as we do with every show. And today we're talking soulmates. We're talking the journey of self-love. We're talking healing and self-discovery. We are taking a journey today that will stir your soul as you start to see the enemy within. How do we let the inner critic tear us apart and drown us in unfair judgments? How is it that we get stuck in attachments? How is it that we have these false boundaries that we impose on us with these limiting beliefs that imprison us? And then once we get through that beautiful journey, we'll start on the next part of the transformation in removing these from us, in liberating ourselves from all that is unnecessary and puts a veil over the light of love that we truly are, so that we can not only live so much more fulfilling lives, but emanate out that gorgeous love and light. Yeah, we got a show for you today. No joke. So I am super excited to introduce to you our amazing guide, and who's going to brilliantly take us through all of this. Her name is SIMRAN, and she is fabulous. I can't wait for you to meet her. Let me tell you a little bit about her first. She is the host of 1111 Talk Radio and publisher of 1111 Magazine. SIMRAN is an award-winning author, artist, speaker, and mystic of love, compassion, and humanity. It's all true. Known as the 1111 Lady, Love Catalyst, and Rebel Humanitarian, SIMRAN advocates for the visionary and mystic within each person so that greater balance, neutrality, compassion, and peace arise in our inner and outer worlds. SIMRAN creates art, books, and online courses that bridge humanity's experience and expression of darkness and light. Also a TEDx speaker, SIMRAN created an 11-month one-woman show, The Rebel Road, connecting the dots from what was to what is. That spans 66 cities across North America. SIMRAN has appeared on Guy MTV, One World Puja Network, CCN, and the New Thought Channel. She has appeared as keynote speaker at the World Congress, the United Nations, universities, spiritual centers, and hundreds of venues across North America, along with having been featured on the covers of Science of Mind magazine, Jolie magazine, and the Owl magazine. SIMRAN is also a recipient of the Unzipper of Reality Award. SIMRAN has authored 7 books and received national and international attention and garnered 5 gold awards for her writing. I told you, she's no joke. These books include Living, The 7 Blessings of Human Experience, Being, The 7 Illusions That Derail Personal Power, Purpose, and Peace, Knowing, The 7 Expressions of Grace, Signs, Sacred Encounters with Pathways, Turning Points, and Divine Guideposts, Conversations with the Universe, How the World Speaks to Us, Your Journey to Enlightenment, The 12 Guiding Principles of Love, Courage, and Commitment, Your Journey to Love, Discover the Path to Your Soul's True Mate. This I cannot wait to dig into. Before we start, I want to, as I introduce the amazing SIMRAN, tell you a little bit about her name. First of all, her name is SIMRAN, and she shows herself, brands herself as SIMRAN, all capital letters. This name, which was given to her at birth, is also used as a sign. It is, just to give you a background on the word, in ancient Sanskrit, the word means divine remembrance. And for her, it's about the divine remembrance for which we are all here. So, beautiful divine remembrance, SIMRAN, welcome to the show.
Oh, Jacqueline Roshanak, it is just so beautiful and wonderful to be with you both. And I think we're going to have a love fest today. How's that?
Oh, yes.
Amen. Amen. I think the whole audience is, they're already, the comments that are coming in, they're so excited and literally needed. I love that. The first comment that we got is, I so needed this today. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
with
isn't
you
that
on
what
that.
happens? Exactly, right?
Right. You know what, I wanted to share a quick little story. And, the first time that we met, was so beautiful. And we shared some space here on Humanity's team over Christmas. And I can't tell everybody how I was instantly just drawn to you. And I just knew the moment that we were sharing that stage and the space together that I needed to reach out to you and just connect. And it was just such a gorgeous, beautiful, instant connection. And I always feel like when I'm with you, that I have the universal hug just wrapping around me saying, I'm here. So I am excited for everybody
It
to
has
feel
that effect on people, right?
that universal hug
Oh my
that
goodness.
I got to feel the first time that we met and we connected. So thank you, my friend, for being here and sharing your time with us. It's so precious.
Yeah,
And I get to ask the very first question.
I think
Can I
that
just say something before we begin? Just to state the obvious. And I said this in the intro, right? When we are whole and complete and true and authentic and aligned with the love that is our soul, that has been our grace, it does emanate out. And look at the effect. SIMRAN has said like 2 words. And all the love that everybody feels already. And I just want to say, like, she is for mathematicians, the QED, she is the proof of what happens when we get to that place. I mean, you can see it right here. You can feel it. So sorry, I just had to throw that in so we can be aware of that as we move forward.
that's really kind. All of your words are also kind. And I really believe that what occurred with Jacqueline, what's occurring with you, Roshanak, what's occurring between the screen and people I know and don't know is the resonance of our humanity.
Mhm.
I think when we see someone who's been where we've been, who's touched the places of love and heartbreak, of triumph and tragedy, of intimacy and separation, and willing to stand in all of it with this full embrace of what it was, we somehow sense that vibration and that radiance. And whether we've been to those places within ourselves or not, there is a safety and a security that starts to envelop the space. And that's what I hope to bring here today, is a safety and a security for individuals to deepen into their heart and their heartbreak, their intimacy, their vulnerability, their self, all of their different selves, and to fully embrace the capacity that their life has for being the divine aha moment that Spirit endowed it with from the moment of birth through every experience and expression that has already taken place and will continue to take place.
Okay, we can go now. I got all
I'm
that.
just gonna start crying.
If your heart isn't open, I don't know what else we can do at this point. Yeah, and pre-warning, I've had a weepy weekend, so no promises.
I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it makes sense because I don't believe in coincidence, and what we feel and when we are where we are and the messages that we receive. And Simran, you have this in your books, and Neil Donald Walsh talks about this all the time. You know, we are constantly receiving the messages. We are constantly receiving truth and guidance. Just have to connect to that because it's right here. If we're feeling deeply, if we've got that resonance, whoever's here, either live or listening to the recording or watching, this is it. This is what it feels like. This is what it looks like. Sorry.
That's so exciting. No,
Sorry,
I
not
just
sorry.
needed to leave a little space in there for a minute. So we're gonna get started because as much as I was good with all that, I can't wait for more. So I think that's what we all need to invite in, right? When we say yes to more in our lives, that's when things begin to change. And so I'm excited to hear all of that from you today. So I'm going to get started from the beginning. We keep, with the series that we're doing on love this month, it is, even though Valentine's was last week, it's still February and we want to celebrate love for the whole month. Really, we want to celebrate love every day. But we wanted to take the time this month to really get as many different perspectives and most of all understandings of what love is. And so we've heard and asked all of our guests this question, and we wanted to start with this question with you as well, my sister, and that is, what is love? We're going to start small.
Yes, that one is a huge, enormous, complex, and vastly simple experience and expression. Love is this all-encompassing field that holds the full polarity of light, sound, and color, which means the full expression that you are in every one of your mistakes, in your misalignments, miscreations, misadventures, to all of those moments that are aligned, that are the highest creative capacity, that are your most beautiful expression of love and creativity. The places in between that bridge those two. Love is you in your entirety. It is everything about you. It is every blemish and crack and break and weakness. And it is every speck of gold, shimmer, and light that shines through you. That is the face of love.
How beautiful is that? I love it. I absolutely love it. Did you all hear that? Did you all actually understand what that means? It isn't the romantic love that you see on TV, in the movies, read in books. It isn't when you're perfect. It isn't when you pattern match to some prevailing narrative. It is something that is everything, that it is you, right, Simran? It's who we are at all times, at all stages, in all states. We can't help but be love. Is that what you're saying? Did I understand that
Yes,
correctly?
yes. And it's this ever expanding and deepening spiral within us, because love only expands to the degree of awareness that we have about ourselves, and not just the awareness, but the embrace. And that requires us opening to greater gentleness and tenderness and compassion and kindness. And because of the way our lives have been lived, the conditions we've been born into, the ideas and beliefs that we've taken on, oftentimes life starts out very opposite of that. We learn how to weaponize words. We use actions against ourselves or others. We harden and we create a very hard candy coating on the outside of our hearts and our bodies to present images that we think are what other people need to see, or ways to protect ourselves. And all of that is part of the purpose of life. It's part of the purpose of each and every one of us being here, because we cannot discover and unfold into the flowering of forgiveness, of compassion, of kindness, of self-acceptance and self-awareness, unless we first go down a very narrow and dark road. And I think that what people don't realize is, rather than criticizing, condemning, and judging ourselves for various experiences of our lives and how we perhaps got derailed, if we can understand that there was a part of us, a part that's always been with us, our shadow, it's never left us. It's either at times been behind us, sometimes leading us, standing before us, and other times beside us, but it's always been there. And the purpose of the shadow is not to derail your life or send you off course. The purpose of the shadow is to love you enough to be with you during the moments that actually take you to the very dark places, so that you can discover your true light. And it's in that darkness. The shadow takes you to the places that crack the candy-coated shell around the heart, because the heart is not meant to be contained or solid or encrusted. It's not meant to be solid. It is meant to be burst wide open. We are here to fracture the heart, because a fractured, open heart can ooze out and become the salve that this world needs. It is soft enough to then touch every other place with its warmth and its glow. We are here to shatter the ego and the identity, because that was just a mask, many masks perhaps, the practice of trying to be what the world needs, so that we can return to this place of naturalness. You see, the shadow is what takes us there. Not just the shadow, but our animal nature, the somatics in our body, the visceral impulses that course through us, that hold our rage and our sadness, our jealousies and our inequities. Those visceral tendencies are the thumpings of the drum inside of us that help us to bring about the shamanic death and rebirth of the phoenix. The monster inside of us that wants to project out into the entire world all that is wrong with the world. We need all of these pieces and parts, because they are the very pieces and parts that are the midwives and the stewards of the brightest light. They are the ones that show us what we are capable of. They're the ones that inspire us to be better and greater. They're the ones that allow us to love bigger and to know that there's more. It is those that we must embrace and learn to love again. Because when we bring all of those parts back to ourselves, we discover that we have a glam squad that has been with us all along, and ideally a God squad that helps us find our true light, our true expression. And that is why we must become our ultimate soulmate. We must treat each and every part of us as the sweetest lover, as the one that we would do anything for, as the one we will hold tenderly and that we know has held us tenderly and gently every step of the way. We have to stop fighting love and understand that it's all love. It was the love we needed. It was gentle, it was fierce, it was disciplined, it was bold, it was every kind of love that we required to get to where we are right now.
Let's let that sink in for a minute. Let's let that sink in for a minute. Okay, right about now, thank God for recordings. Because I myself am going to go back and listen to that bit over and over. I may just like clip it and, you know, kind of like how you put something up on the wall that you see all the time. That's going to be my go-to for whenever I'm feeling a little hard-coded, a little less than, a little lost, and not so aligned as I need to be, as I'm meant to be with love, i.e. grace, i.e. the divine, i.e. myself. And I recommend to everybody else who's gotten this far, if you don't do anything else in your life, just go back and listen to that and let it really sink into the molecules of your being and move through the spaces known and unknown inside of you so that it can, this grace, because I believe that SIMRAN, you are speaking with grace, capital G, specifically as our messenger, whoever's listening, to deliver this truth that we lose, that we forget. And so many have come for thousands of years giving us the same message. And we just, for some reason, it's not sticky enough. And so I'm hoping that with modern technology and a little repetition, it can get stickier, because this is what changes lives and what changes civilization. I believe that truly and completely.
You know, Roshanak, the two that we have to begin with, that every person must begin with, is the set of twins that lives inside of them. And those twins are the inner and the outer critic.
Mm-hmm.
We have condemned these two to being these harsh bullies,
Mm-hmm.
these villainous creatures that beat us up, judge us, and beat up the outer world and judge others. We condemned them. And so how do we bring these two back into ourselves and give them the love that they require? Because we condemned them, we cast them out. We're the ones that told them that they had to be that harsh towards us and towards the outer world. And really appreciate them with such grace and gratitude for what we can now recognize as part of the separation. Because this is what creates the division in our world.
Mm-hmm.
First, we condemn and judge and criticize ourselves. And because we can't be with ourselves, we then have to condemn and judge and criticize the world. But it's these two twins that will actually help us embrace a world that is calling for love. These two twins can lead you to the ones that you judge so harshly and let you sit before them in communion, staring into your own face. That outer critic will have you sit before a homeless person and stare into that face only to find your own. That harsh critic will stare into the face of a child refugee only to discover the face of your own inner child. That outer critic will help you sit before the harshest bully, the person in the world that you feel is the greatest demon you have ever seen, the devil himself, and help you peer into the eyes of your own nature. And then we only can come back to ourselves and realize that as we have condemned those outside of us is the only reason that we're able to criticize ourselves to the degree that we are. This is a time to understand that we cannot change this world from the outside in. It has to change from the inside out. And that means meeting every separate piece, every fragmented part, everything that's been cast out and judged, and allowing ourselves to take the time, take the pause, to really love, to grieve, to hold, to rock, to touch, to feel. And when we do that, what we find is all those fragmented pieces come back together to form one body that is our humanity. And in essence, that's what we've lost. When we have to criticize the outside world or another, or even criticize ourselves, it's because we've lost touch with our own humanity. And it is only humanity inside that can heal humanity outside.
I absolutely believe every single word of this. And Jacqueline knows I'm always saying, so with access to the path, my mission is to improve the human condition. And my vision is to create a world in which all can thrive. And the way that I do reach that vision, strive for that vision, is by helping each individual find the courage, as we do here in Mindset, Heartset, Reset, to come into that full alignment that you're describing. And when we feel liberated to be truly ourselves, to bring forth the gifts and blessings that are uniquely ours, when we are liberated to express life, because that is love, capital letters, absolute values, then we no longer have that. We have our sense of individuality in this mortal coil, which serves us and others profoundly, optimally, and we no longer distort others because we are no longer distorted. We aren't judging others because we aren't, or unfairly, because we aren't judging unfairly ourselves. We aren't shaming others because we aren't shaming ourselves. And I would say we forgive others because we forgive ourselves. But when we get to that point that you're describing, forgiveness doesn't exist because there's only understanding.
Yeah, there's nothing to forgive. We were all innocent. We've always been innocent. Even the worst deed was done from a place of innocence.
And if we, and I say this as someone whose pillars of teaching, of being, are science and spirituality, I would say that if any of us was born with the genetics of another and the circumstances of another, we would in fact be that other, that thing that we condemn. Given the right ingredients, that is what the result would be. And so when we are truly punishing of others, everybody loses. Nothing gets fixed. Nothing is healed. It's just adding injury to injury. Because nobody was born that way. We became that. We learn that. We react to that through a combination of what we've assimilated and learned and held to be true as we were developing from the moment of birth, biologically.
And even that is perfection. Because we can say, well, this person shouldn't have done this, or this was a tragedy that occurred, or why would someone do something so horrible? But we're looking at it from the very small lens.
Yeah, we're looking at it from the human lens as opposed to the divine, right?
Yes, and we have to understand that what we are really is a balancing of energy. We are a balancing of masculine and feminine energies. And right now, this balance of masculine and feminine energy is very much caught in the shadow. Because if you look at our masculine energy, whether you're man or woman, most of it is spent pushing, striving, trying to get somewhere, trying to do something, trying to make a change, and not really acting from a place of inspiration, but more so acting from a place of busyness or trying to get something done or achieve an agenda. And we're sitting, because you're in your shadow masculine, the only thing that can be on the other side is shadow feminine. And shadow feminine looks like manipulation. It looks like exhaustion. It looks like trying to get this in order to get that. It's a barter system. It's giving oneself away in order to please another. Those are all parts of the shadow feminine. Or it's going completely to the other side where it is only fluffy, light, and love. That's equally shadow feminine. So if we are here to really shift the world, the one thing we must understand is stop trying to fix it. Stop trying to fix something outside from an unhealed place inside. We first have to figure out, where do I need to rebalance and raise to a higher octave my own masculine and feminine energies? And what does that require? Well, we have to start with the feminine, because the feminine is the birthplace of all things. So again, whether you are man or woman, this is true. And our feminine energy requires that we sit, that we go into the deep bowl of our inner sanctum, and we allow ourselves to rest there and feel all of the things that are there. The womb space is dark. It's a messy place. When we give birth, it is messy and bloody, and there are contractions and there is pain. And that part has to be part of the birthing process to a higher octave, to a new human, to a new world. It's all the same. And so when we can really sit in what our feminine bowl is trying to reveal to us, and that will reveal sensations in the body, it will reveal feelings and thoughts, it will reveal impulses and desires, but not move on any of them. To continue to sit, to continue to rock, to continue to hold, to continue to love, beyond when those moments come that you want to get up off the mat. When we can do that, there comes a moment where the masculine comes in, the healthy masculine. That healthy masculine is inspired. That is where inspired action comes from. Masculine energy should not act unless it's been inspired by the feminine. The old crone teachers, the women who sat in the red tents, in prior nations, in ancient nations, it was the women that always guided and directed before the men went to war or made a government action. The same is true for the human self. We must follow that inner rhythm of the feminine energy and allow it to course through until it can guide and direct the next step. And only then should the inspired masculine part of us act and then create or move and produce or whatever it is here to do in the world. Because anything other than that is egoic. It's agenda. It is something that will only create more interference and chaos. And right now we have a world creating interference. So many light workers might say, well, but I'm here to do something. I have to have a purpose. And I know I'm here to support these other people. There's no one here to save, fix, or heal. But what we can do is be that magnet when we do work with individuals, but understand they are serving us more than we are serving them. They are bringing forward the reflections of us, the parts of us that we've not yet seen, that we can now move into and be revealed. And the more we do that, you'll see something starts to shift. Your clients will start to shift. The number of people that gravitate you will start to change, because the higher and higher octave you attain, the less and less people gravitate towards you for that need. And the reason that occurs is because your need to have significance disappears. All of a sudden, you don't have to create people with a condition in order to have self-importance. All of a sudden, your presence is enough. And once we ground into the truth that our presence is enough, it is then that the next higher octave of feminine energy comes in. And that is the place where we birth something, where we literally bring a new baby into the world, whether that is a creation or a writing or a song or a way of being in the world or a movement. That creativity then starts to come out into the world, and it will have legs. It will crawl and walk and run and have its own legs. And then we are there to nurture. Then we are there to be the maternal. Then we are there to allow our masculine energy to become the paternal. Life shows us throughout nature how we are to be. We have lost sight and sound of what it means to be true nature. We have forgotten the rumbles of the earth beneath our feet, the crackle of the fire, the whispers on the wind, the rustling of the waters. These are the languages that we are here to remember. And they don't just course through the earth, they course through us. But until we get quiet enough and slowed down enough and pause enough to behold our own beauty, our own sacredness, we can't hear that language. We can't be a part of it. We can't remember that that's the truth of who we are. And that's why it's so important that your journey to love is your rediscovery of being love, being in the sphere of love that is everything, being composed of the quantum mechanics of love that comprises everything, being with the love that is present on this earth right now in its darkness and its light, loving it and walking this earth as love, doing no harm, creating no interference, holding the highest vision for all, and remaining centered and connected within the heart and soul of essence, which doesn't mean escaping the planet or ascending. It means creating footprints on these sands. That is where love is required.
That was, as somebody wrote in, stunning. I'm going to go all the way out there now, since we're all the way out there and all the way in here. Let's talk about karma and our journey here, because this is just one world. This is just one existence. So one of the pushbacks that people have against this concept of oneness is they feel they'll be lost in sort of a mass. And the word unity tends to sit better. So if we are souls, spirits, energies that incarnate, literally come into this mortal coil, and when we are done, we exit the vehicle like we do whenever we're driving, going somewhere, and we've finished our journeys. Can you speak to this concept that I actually was thinking of today from some of the spiritual experiences that I've had? That if we come from one divine and we are therefore all parts of that one, and then we return to that divine, do we not, at some level, some point where time, of course, is quite different than it is here, if at all, actually it doesn't exist, that there is a melange, there is a mixing up, a uniting, literally, of the substance of that energy. And we see that in chemistry, we see that in physics. Can you speak to what it means for us, either as individuals who stay discrete, as energetic, discrete entities, or as entities that may be actually, in fact, like all energy does, neither created nor destroyed, sort of transform, transmute, combine. We have constructive waves, we have destructive waves, if we're going to talk about physics. So I'm just wondering, what is your take on that sort of thing? And as a guide for us as we're going through our experiences here and our judgments, and hopefully less of them now, of ourselves and others.
Roshanek, is the question about karma, or is the question?
So karma would, as most people sort of colloquially pop culture understand it, is what comes back to each individual and through iterations of being. Right?
Is that the question you were asking me about karma?
It's if you believe that, and then there's this where we aren't just discrete entities, how does that work? What does that mean for us as we sit there and go, oh, that was that person's karma, or this will be my karma? Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My thoughts on karma are probably a little different than many individuals. I don't believe we are here to be punished in any sort of way. I don't believe anything's coming back to us because we did something else. I believe that this almighty, powerful source that exists, that we are a part of, is neutral and equanimous, and it does not judge. It does not condemn one or the other, no matter what the expression is. And so in that way, I don't really think karma, in the way it's described by many, actually applies or works. We are energy. We do create ripples and waves. And I think that as energy, if I have done something that I inside hold a conscience for and feel guilty of, then karma is really what I do to myself. And so often that shows up in our physical bodies as health issues. And we can see that. We can see that if we hold anger or rage, it will affect our liver. If we hold bitterness, it often comes as cancer. If we are not breathing and not aligned with our essence and wholeness, that shows up in our lungs as asthma. And so to me, karma is more of a misalignment of not being in our true essence, so that we create a misalignment in the structure of our cell, that we are in this greater body of essence that exists. Again, we are energy. The only part of us that has to feel like we are separate and individual, or that we are unity and collective, is the mind or the ego. If we can step away from our thinking mind and this need to identify, and all of a sudden just follow the rhythms that feel natural, then we become a part of this interconnectedness that's life. We become like the plants and the trees and the wind and the rain, all working together. And so our minds, our brains do us a great service because we are this part of life that is experiencing itself. It's part of the universe's way of peering through many lenses and having many types of experiences at one time for whatever purpose that it does. But we're the only organism that has this. All of other nature does not have this way to separate and to judge and to identify. And it seems to work beautifully according to the laws of nature, the laws of energy. It is only, again, our interference that creates so-called karma. And again, that's karma back upon ourselves in terms of how we alter our chemistry because of something that's misaligned. If we can step out of our story and really see what we are, and I'm not saying who we are, I'm saying what we are. We are God's on legs. We are the divine in a vessel, a sacred container that is here for an experience of itself. And every single one of us is going to have a different experience because that is the only way for Source to know its full capacity of self. And so every life has to be different. Every experience will hold different elements. And we will, from our emotional intelligence and our mental acuity and our physical body, will be a different experience. And that's why I always tell people, you are not on a journey, you are the journey. You are the journey of essence in form for a period of time to experience a certain way. But if you could really understand that you're actually the very center ball of light in this column that has 8 billion eyes through which it can peer, you will intellectually realize we are all one. But the only way to viscerally, physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically, aurically allow yourself to feel and embody oneness is for you to become so at one with yourself, meaning so aligned that you no longer have any separation inside of you. And when you have no separation inside of you, you can't possibly have separation outside of you. And when that occurs, karma ceases to exist. That is how I see it. That has been based on my own personal experience. And in that way, no matter what happens, whether it is a tragedy, whether it is a moment of grief that brings me to my knees, whether it is a celebration where I'm honored, whether it is being on this video with you right now having this conversation, it's just experiencing itself. It has nothing to do with me, the true me, other than being experience. And I think if individuals would really look at every experience they're having and just say, you know what, this is just an experience, period. It's an experience. Then all of a sudden, all of the emotionality and the mental gyrations and the trauma and all the things that we do to ourselves because of it will slowly lessen, because we'll start to realize I am truly just on an adventure ride. And if I can enjoy the adventure and love myself through the process, then no matter what happens in this theme park, I can have a good time.
I cannot believe you said that, because I started saying that, I don't know, about 20 years ago, that our lives here are like a day at the amusement park. We may be screaming when we're going down a roller coaster, but we're not scared. We're not in terror in our soul. You know, we want that experience. We want to feel all the feels. We want to go on all the rides. We want to experience all the colors, all the whatever's on offer. We're like, I got one day to get it all in. And that's what I felt that this life was akin to, and I haven't heard that until now again. So I 100%, if we could view life as that, what a profound change that would make. No?
Yeah. What do you think, Jacqueline? I see you over there being sacred witness.
Oh, so, I'm always
She's
happy to sit
experiencing.
and listen, because I think, the most beautiful part always for me is in hearing you, I just see my own journey. I literally can, as you speak, I'm going, oh yeah, that was my weekend. That was my whole weekend wrapped up in a ball. Which is the most beautiful part to me, because this is just the affirmation, right? This is the affirmation that comes back to say, not that I got it. It was always there, but the journey keeps unraveling. And then you can I put a comment in the feed just to say, we don't just hear with our ears, we hear with our heart. And that's the resonance. That's so beautiful, as I'm just sitting, listening with my heart, and a new knowing and a greater understanding of all I already knew.
Beautiful.
And that's the beautiful affirmation that I am receiving. So thank you. I woke up on when we say sometimes we wake up on the different side of the bed, I'm happy to always admit when I'm a puddle, but I was such a great puddle. I couldn't, for many reasons this weekend, I couldn't stop tears flowing from, I turn on a YouTube video and the tears would start to flow because of some, American Idol feeling good story. And, the beauty is that when we do everything, like I didn't hear every word. I experienced every word that you just said. When we fully begin to understand that, that every tear we shed, every heartbreak we think is going to, as you said, bring us to our knees, it's actually the beautiful gift we're given. And then the expansion happens on the other side. I made a reel, as you saw, for the promotion of this show, and I couldn't not put a butterfly in it. As much as I put lots of hearts and lots of, floating blue hearts everywhere through it, it was really the butterfly that represented that transformation, the opening of who we are. And that's what I keep hearing from you. And something I want to touch on, and we've been kind of around the boundaries of it during this conversation, but I think it's such an important part of this conversation. And we had it before we met today. And it's about our journey to self-love. I have a different perspective on self-love than if you go to the bookstore and the section and the billion-dollar industry that it has become, standing in front of a mirror, repeating my I ams and my affirmations of how I'm supposed to feel about myself. It never worked for me. And I feel like it's a struggle for so many people to stand in front of the mirror and say, I am beautiful, when they feel nothing but pain. Talk to us about, as you did about karma, your own perspective and your own understanding of self-love.
Thank you for that. Probably the visual that is behind me over here helps to really explain that. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but it's an eye in the center. And there is one straight line to the center of that eye. And then there is this other path that kind of weaves all the way around, wiggly. And it comes right back around to that eye. And you'll see that there's a showering of white streams that come from that eye. So when you were talking about the tears, Jacqueline, that's the sacred waters of essence that come through us, whether it is grief or joy. Those tears, I think, are the nectar that the divine really desires to feel. To me, the heart is in the tears. It is in what we're willing to feel at such a great expanse that it overflows and creates waterfalls from us. And imagine what that looks like from the cosmos. And so, although we can take that straight route that goes directly to the center of source, who wants to, right? We came to Earth for an experience. So we all take the scenic route. We all go the windy path all the way around everything to get back to the place we could have gotten very, very quickly. And is because there is something beautiful about the human experience, even the human condition, and this reclaim of our humanity. I don't really believe in the hero's journey because that to me is still an agenda. For me, my life has always been an attempt to really feel, because so much of my life initially I did not. There was not a lot of feeling in my household. I began working when I was 4 years old. I became a workaholic and was a workaholic until I was almost 40. And when you become a robot on this planet, there is no feeling, there's no emotion. And the only place left to go is to ram your car so hard into things that you have to burst open. And you have to then pick up all the pieces. And I am so grateful for every crash that occurred in my life because it brought me to feeling. It brought me to my humanity. It brought me to an embrace of compassion that I could have never known any other kind of way. And so I love to cry. When I cry, I know that I'm touching the deepest part of myself, and I'm also touching the greatest part of the divine. I love to laugh because when I have those belly laughs, I know I've touched the very center of every cell in my body, and I have touched the center of the universe. And that should be our quest of fulfillment, not the attainment of a goal or a degree or a job or a house or a car or an image of beauty or some identification out in the world. The question that we should ask is, what would fulfill me? Where's my fulfillment? The most important question we should ask is, what does my heart long for? Where do I belong? And we should find that belonging in our families, in ourselves, in our communities, in our work, in our world. And when we can find ourselves in there from that place of humanity, then what you will discover is the breathing becomes deeper. Your choices become more deliberate and discerning. Your moments of pause and stillness and silence stretch out longer, and you get more done anyway. And so if everyone can slow down and pause and get to know themselves, I think they'll find out that the world is better off for it. And so I applaud your tears because I applaud my own. The best place that I've ever been has been in a bathtub crying, because the tub knows how to take the tears and also soothe the body. The best places I've ever been have been walking on a beach or walking through a forest, because the ground knows how to take everything that is coming through my body and how to return back to me that refreshed. And so my life has been that winding scenic route. And I have dissected and put back together every piece and part of me that I can possibly find. And I will continue to do so until the day I leave this planet, because I believe that's why we're here, to know ourselves. There really is only one true purpose, and it's not an external one. It's self-love. And once an individual really gets that that's their true purpose, that overflow will change the world.
Amen, my sister. Amen. We talk about that often, that, we can all, go out and do things in our world, but that has to come from that place of love, which is self-love. And it's what I So it so resonated with me when you talked about self-love, that, this industry that's been created out in our world to do all the external things, when really it's the internal that comes through us. And that's the gift that we get to give the world when we examine that more closely. And I love the expression that you use, that, in the sacred tears, and I promise every single one of them were sacred this weekend. And the laughter. And that's exactly, Roshanak and I yesterday, it was exactly that. We had so many deep belly laughs, and she has a broken rib right now that it hurt her poor ribs. And I realized that every time I could just stand back and look at the floods of tears that kept coming, I would laugh out loud at the same time. And it was the beautiful gift that was given. And when we hear, everything that you say, when we hear our own stories, and your story is so beautiful in what you continue to share with us, and we can feel that breath when we sit that little longer. I think those spaces that Roshanak and I wanted to keep finding between the words here was exactly that space and that breath that we need to allow every day. So thank you for bringing to us what I think everybody that's here today has required, and everyone that will watch this, and everyone you continue to share this message with. It's our greatest understanding about ourselves. That love is all.
That is good karma right there.
Right? Love is all of it. It is the fear. It is the feel goods. It is the falling in love with another person. It is the heartbreak when it's done. It is the hardship, and it's the greatness. And it's this beautiful wave that we get to ride up and down, and all the experiences in between. It's a beautiful gift that you've given us today. I so appreciate you being with us in the time. We have so much to talk about, but
Simran
we're not
has
going
been
to.
kind enough to give us a few more minutes, though.
Exactly. No, we're not going to go quite yet. We're not done
So
yet.
we're over time, but we are blessed. And what is meant to be is meant to be. And Simran, thank you so much for giving us a little extra time. Just want to throw that in there, Jacqueline, in case you didn't know.
No, that's okay. I wasn't planning to shut her down right now. But what I also want to recognize is, when I said there's so much to talk about, this is just the beginning of our conversations with you, because these conversations, the books you have written, this conversation started with your book, your journey to love, but it's just the beginning of so much you've given to the world. And I want everyone to hear and feel as much as you're willing to give. So we're not done, but I just putting that there. It's just the beginning of the conversation. So go ahead, Roshanak.
Well, first things first, I put in the chat Simran's books. It's kind of big. She's blessed us with quite a lot. And as she explained to me when we were speaking the other day, they're quite heavy. They're not meant to be read front to back. Simran, as you were saying, is that correct?
My first 3 books, Conversations with the Universe, Your Journey to Enlightenment, and Your Journey to Love, are books that share my story and wisdom from that. And so for someone that is in the early stages of their awareness, or someone that needs to feel another person's story as they discover their own, those are good places to start. My latest trilogy, Living, Being, and Knowing, they are a set of oracles. They are a set of soul manuals that will literally guide you through any and every experience that you go through as a human being, because they depict the 7 cycles that you go through over and over again, the 7 archetypes, the 7 illusions that plague your life right now that you have to deconstruct and decondition, and the 7 graces that you are here to give yourself in order to open up to divine grace. These 3 books were written simultaneously. Ideally, they're intended to be held simultaneously, whether a person can do that or not. Either way, I think most people will use them as oracles, meaning they will open a book to a certain page and get their guidance. They will not let you read them quickly. They're not meant to be read front to back or quickly. They are meant to take a paragraph or a page and let that marinate within you, to let it be guidance for you. And if you can open the 3 books, then you will meet 3 parts of you each day that you will allow yourself to become aware of. And the reason that I did this is this particular set of books, it took me a 7-year process to decondition, to truly understand what it means to decondition as a human being and get rid of all of our conditioning. And I went through every layer and experience of both my physical body as well as all the bodies that we encompass outside of that. And the reason the books are here is to shorten that span for other people, to help them understand that personal growth and self-realization does not have to be hard. It does not have to be treacherous. It does not have to be something that we beat ourselves up with, but that it can be this communing and this devotional love affair that you have with yourself/source that is here to flower within you. And so I invite you to pick up any of my books or all of my books. It's as if they are spirals
There's
of
so many people in the chat, including Jacqueline and myself, are like, we're getting all the books, all of them.
yes.
All
The
Fast,
second,
please.
the
Amazon
second
Prime.
trilogy
Can't
is
get enough.
higher octave of the first trilogy. It's interesting how it happened. But the second trilogy, you're meant to put your story into that instead of mine. So they're all valuable in their own way, and I invite everyone to commune with me through them.
We're going to. We're all in. We're all in.
We are all in.
So, we always have this, or do you have a question before?
Oh, I have
our
like
final?
12.
I know, but you don't get them all.
I'll be good. I won't ask all 12. And I do want to get to somebody who's live with us now. Maybe I'll do that first. Would that be okay with you, Simran?
Mhm.
Okay. So we have a guest with us who has been going through a lot in the last months. And when you were talking about being cracked open and crying, she said that she had been going through so much and she's just cracked open. She's like, I'm like this walnut. I'm just cracked open. And she's just crying and crying. She says, I have been crying like that for months. Heart open and forgive and knowledge expands during, after. I get all this, but I'm still really suffering with some emotions. What would you say to someone who's in that space, in that place?
First of all, I'm wrapping you with my heart. I know the place that you're in. And when I started my 7-year deconditioning process, what took place was an enormous amount of grief. And I would say to anyone that is experiencing grief, number one, have a sacred witness, someone that you can connect to daily, that is not going to try to coach you or fix you or change you, but will really just witness you and let you know that you're loved. That's all they're required for. And it's the best healing that's possible as you move through that grief, because grief lasts as long as it lasts. And what I discovered is that first stage of grief for me lasted a long time. What I did to move through it was I would walk a lot. I took lots of baths. I meditated and prayed a lot, and I painted. And so find the activities that allow you to create a rhythm for yourself to have respite from the grief as it comes and goes. If you are the type of individual that's here to also be a conduit for the collective grief on the planet, what you will experience is a pause in your grief. And then a few months later, what may start is another overflow of grief. And if you are present to it, what you will find is it is your ancestral grief. You will be crying and shedding the tears that your mother and your grandmothers and all the grandmothers before never cried. You might find that your life is a reincarnation spiral of energy, very similar to many of the issues that they carried and never felt. And by allowing yourself to transmute this and hold this and allow it to come through you while having deep self-care, you will actually release the pent-up energy of past generations, which is also impacting our current world. And then if you allow that whole process to complete, you may have another respite of a few months, and then you may find that it starts again. And what you will discover is you are now helping to be a conduit for the grief of the world. We have a whole world that is unwilling to feel, that is numb, that is deeply sad, that does not even have the time nor space to grieve, because either they've been convinced that they need to move on, or they are in such states of fight, flight, or freeze that they just can't deal with it at the moment. We each can be that conduit. When we're talking about being the change in the world, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to run outside to do it. We don't need to become a raging activist. We don't need to really do anything out there. We can sit within our own spaces on our own mats and hold the world in our belly and allow what needs to come through to come through. And as you do that, you will feel deep releases. You will feel a sense of peace. You will attain a level of neutrality and equanimity, and you will feel your energy expand. Again, make sure you have a sacred witness, someone that knows you're going through the process, because there can be times where you feel deeply, deeply sad. And so it's important to not do this work alone, to be able to reach out to someone that can hold you or someone that understands what this process is so that they can guide you. And so I am holding you, I'm wrapping you in my heart and with my love. And whatever you are experiencing right now, it is part of what you have the capacity to experience. And I thank you for your service.
Can't hear you. No, 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 no.
I got it. Thank you. Thanks, Simran. This is my forte, is to speak into a closed microphone. She says, I shall take your advice. Thank you for speaking to me. And then later says, yes, I feel I'm also breaking generational curses somehow with my God journey. Really beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for sharing that and holding that space. And I'm sure there are so many that will benefit from hearing that. So that's just another add on, the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you both for that. Along the lines of that, let me just ask you one more little question, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
As we are healing, in your book, Your Journey to Love, you have something about mystical marriage. And you talk about the child self, the mother self, and the father self within. And so in the context of the soulmate, self-love, healing, being love, the journey, that we are the journey, and the process that we need to go through to fully expand into all of this. How can we embrace our shadow? How can we best move to heal? Can you speak to this idea of this mystical marriage and how it might really work to connect and align us better?
Right now, we have a world that wants to transcend everything. We want to transcend our problems. We want to transcend the darkness. We want to transcend our bodies. We want to transcend the 3D. But we chose to incarnate in human form, which means we really did want to be here, and that there's a purpose for being in this human form. And whether that is to be the conduits that transmute eons worth of energy that has built up, and this level of fear that has infiltrated this planet from the beginning, we must understand that we have to ground in our bodies and in our humanity every step of the way. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to transcend to. It's all right here. What has actually happened is that we've left our bodies. The sacred God is right here. Right here. Do this with your hands right now over your body, because that's where the sacred is. You are that. What has happened is that you rose up out of your body. Our egos have reversed that. We keep trying to transcend, but that's just lifting us more out of our body. We must pull ourselves back into the body where the divine resides, because it resides right here. But we must pull ourselves back in. And part of that process is the walk back through our wounding, what we believe has happened to us, what in many cases has happened to us, and to embrace that with love, to embrace that with such a compassion and a gentleness and a tenderness that we learn what it means to be the little child, that we learn what it means to mother and to father. Because for most of us, we weren't mothered and fathered by healthy people. They were as wounded as we are. And the ones who raised them were wounded. And we have come from generations of wounding. And so
Right.
through,
We're
right?
all
Notes,
dying
hold
over
on.
here.
We just-
We're just dying back here.
hello. Notes,
Right?
everyone. Please listen.
None of
Sorry.
us have come from healthy parents. You know,
Right?
we are just the biological result of two people that happened to get together that had their own issues, and boom, we were here to show them what their issues were, but instead they projected them onto us. And so that mystical marriage is first the walk back through the spiral of wounding. We have to unwind the wound. And that means every part of you, your mind, your heart, your body, every part of you. That's why your journey to love is written in the way it's written, because it is the unwinding of the different energetic bodies that you possess. And once we get to that place of really sitting and holding and meeting that wounded child from a place of reverence, from a place of seeing their strength and their beauty, and the gift they hold inside of their creativity and their expression, then we can also transcend the God complex that we have projected onto our parents in making them the gods of our understanding. Because that's what we did when we took on their beliefs or their behaviors, is we made them God. And so we can now take them off of those pedestals and be grateful for their humanity, their unacknowledged humanity, their wounding, every piece and part that led us to this place of awareness. And the mystical marriage is now grabbing hold of that wounded self and realizing the wholeness of that and letting that part of you transform into the divine child. And then recognizing, after mothering yourselves, that your true mother and father is Mother, Father, God. That your money, your purpose, your love, your safety, your security, it all comes from Mother, Father, God. No other person, place, thing, or institution. Your freedom, your ability to express and experience, your liberation, it all comes from Mother, Father, God. And the more you develop that faith and that trust, the more grounded you are in the true essence of what you are. And that is the mystical marriage. It is the union above all unions of masculine, feminine, and divine child.
I rest.
Well, that was the beautiful lesson I hope everyone heard. The moment in time we stop looking outside of ourselves for someone else to make us feel complete and whole, and we know that it's already all there for us. It's right there. And it's for us in our own sacred walk, as you said, to pick up all the pieces as we go and clear our own path and know that we are love. Thank you. That's the remembering. Thank you for giving that to us today.
We are all here as examples. And that is the only thing that I wish to be for everyone here today. It's just an example of a dysfunctional human that had a really messy life, that was able to go back and embrace it.
Yeah.
Love herself for every step of the way, regardless of how it appeared.
Mm-hmm.
And then allow that love to flow onto others. It's the greatest example we can be.
Amen.
Just a really quick note. I discovered, so I do believe in God, and have quite, I feel, a good relationship since I was a child, and was stunned when I realized that I was only seeing, feeling, connecting to a part, an aspect of God, because it had become so internalized and embedded, that masculine, that father figure of God. And some people say she, and many people say he. And I think whatever you're doing, it may be that you are incomplete in your connection to the fullness of what God, is. So I loved that you brought in the mother God and the father God, because whatever it is that we are needing, it's all in there. And we might check ourselves and see when we're praying, and how we're praying, and how we're asking, and how we're connecting, if it is maybe a bit biased, skewed, unbalanced, and how that would change for us in our connection, in our experience, and that expansion you beautifully have described for us, were we to embrace the fullness of the Mother, Father, God. I love that. Thank you for that.
Are we good? Can I go?
Love that.
Let's do this.
Okay.
You've been so generous. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the extra time today.
And our production team, and you, Jacqueline. Thank you, everybody.
You know, we have a question we always like to ask for the benefit of our audience, and we like to call it the get off the couch moment. But in your case, I'm going to ask.
Hours, 20 minutes of getting off that couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Near that couch
we've been all on the couch.
What couch? There is no couch.
Oh, yeah, there is no couch. Through my own experience that has brought me to this moment in time with you, my beautiful sisters, to my own divine understanding and learning every day, every moment, every breath. But part of that journey for me was the practice of love. And I didn't know it at the time when I was practicing it, but now I can stand back far enough and realize that it was my own practice that I required, and not required, but I chose in my life to help find my way home back to myself. If there was a practice you could give everyone today, what's the practice of love that you would offer, or that you have had in your own life that continues to help keep you connected to who you are?
I'm going to ask everyone to close their eyes.
Yes.
And deepen into your breath. And I want you to imagine putting on your favorite walking shoes. And I want you to leave your phone and your music and anything that you would normally carry on a walk. I want you to leave it. And I want you to go to your front door and walk outside and begin walking down your driveway. And begin breathing really deeply to the count of 8. Holding the breath for 4, 6, or 8, and exhaling the count of 8. And as you do so, you invite Mother, Father, God to walk with you. And you continue walking, and you invite all of your guardian angels to walk with you, and you start to see them land behind you. And then you invite those ascended masters or guides. For me, it's Jesus and Babaji. It's Mother Mary, Melchizedek. Any and other guides that you would have, you invite them and you see them on either side of you. You might even grab their hands. And then you invite all of your past selves, every age and stage, and even other incarnations. And you got quite a crowd going down the sidewalk right now. And as you move through there, you just walk. You silently walk together, communing in a truth beyond words, in a peace beyond understanding, in a love that transcends all dimensions. And you know that you are never alone, that you are always protected, and you are always surrounded by your family. And you walk, and you walk, and you walk until you come home. And you do this every single day to remind you of the truth. As you look at this planet with the love that that crowd would look at the planet through. And take a deep breath and come back into the space. Because right now we have an auditorium full of a lot of light beings. And they are in joyous celebration with all of us.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Oh no, I like to use the word bliss. Bliss is the word when I feel that connected and that overflowing sense of love. Somebody asked me on, I don't know which day it was now, Monday over the weekend, and they, somebody that I love very much in my life reached out to me and said, "How's your cup?" They said, "I can't feel your cup. What's wrong with your cup?" And we have a little code together that we always ask each other just to check to see if our cup is overflowing or not. And my cup was empty.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very empty. And now my cup overflowing. Thank you, my beautiful sister.
I love you.
Cup overflowing.
I love you.
And these are the tears of joy. And these are the tears of love. And these are the tears of bliss. Thank you. I love you. It was the first words you ever said to me. First time we ever spoke. And we got off WhatsApp together. And it was the first thing you sent me. And you said, "I love you." And I went, damn. And I felt that. So thank you, my beautiful sister, for being with us. I knew we needed this conversation. I knew I needed this conversation. I know my beautiful sister Roshanak needed this conversation, and everyone that has joined us and everyone that has heard it. So we're never alone.
Never alone. It's
Never
been an
alone.
honor and a pleasure to be with you, to be in the field of love.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you close.
Yeah, she always throws the hard stuff at me. That's love.
Damn that love.
Jacqueline knows it's very hard for me to cry. And when I cry, it's when I'm overwhelmed with that God love, that fullness of what I call, when I was a little girl, I had a plaque that said, God is love. And it's still incorporated within me. And that's why I call the capital letters absolute values. That is that real divine fullness, fully expanded love. And my body can't hold it. It just, every single time there's such bliss and ecstasy, I'm just like, what? There's that nectar, as you called it, just coming right out. So thank you for extracting the nectar from me, for reminding me such nectar exists, for connecting me and bathing me in this beautiful nectar, and for doing that for all of us and for anybody who will hear this, who will witness this, who will experience this, who will share this. I thank you so much, Simran, on my behalf, on Jacqueline's behalf, on their behalf, and for all the people who we affect. That ripple effect, make no mistake, is incredibly powerful. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the healing, for all the love, for cracking our hard shells open, and showing us how beautiful that really is. All of it. Appreciate you. Again, if our production team is not, if they can see through all their tears, could somebody please throw up Simran's sites? Thank you so much. That would be our chief of production, Jim Gray. I appreciate you. He puts up with all of us. And thank you. Thank you for going overtime with us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This was, I promised you extraordinary, and I never break my promises. Not ever. My word is my bond. And thank you, Simran, for for allowing me to continue saying that.
I love you very much, and send my love to everyone that's watching.
Thank you, and we love you back. Let's, if I may, I'm gonna change this for a minute. Can we all just take a moment and feel into that love for ourselves, for Simran, for each other, for everyone that we can connect to. Thank you so much, Simran. I want to say that I wore this shirt that says "Love Endures" because I knew today we were going to recognize the infinity, the boundlessness, and the truth of love. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. If you love what you heard, go listen to it again. First of all.
Because you're going to hear something different the next time you hear.
Every
You're going to
single
get all
time it will speak to you differently. Yes, Jacqueline. Yes. Save this, keep this, come back to this. If you want more, go to Simran's sites. Simran also has her own talk show. She has all kinds of production that she puts out into the world. She is incredibly impactful and never drops the mic. Please connect with her. And if you want to read some more, then you've got many books to choose from that we have put in this chat and that also you will find on her site. I want to thank you so much, Extraordinary Simran, for joining us and for everybody who's joined us. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Please come back and join us again next week as we move right to the heart of it, how to expand love in your life with Catherine Woodward Thomas. We are so grateful for all of our guests who have joined us before, for you, Simran, today, and for all who will come and help us understand and expand love. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.